Hey everyone, it is Lasha. Why, it's Lasha from High Voltage. I'm like a bird, I wanna fly away. I don't mean to leave my soul sisters, but really those channels are combined. So I don't know, somebody I think had mercy on me. And I am not going, ask not, I ask not. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm back on High Voltage and I'm going to use Emma's. I did not make this up. I am not copywriting anything. Emma from TNT says at the start of her show, she'll say, don't forget to grab a little something because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? And I always talk about, that's a wrap. And Chris Como, when he was on CNN, was all, let's get after it. And then you had Russell Brand going, and most of all, be free. Most of all, be free. Well, so what we're doing today is Lasha's had a little something. Just a little something. So why should you stay around and listen to Ask Not by Lasha and not go to the other channels? Well, let's find out, shall we? Oops. And I haven't been smoking cigarettes. For those of you that know me, I've been doing really well, and I found a really nice couple for roommates, and there's a job at the shoe store, and I went and I applied for it, and it's full time, and I would just love to have it. I'd love to get that job. But at any rate, we read about Carolyn Bessette and JFK's relationship. I read the entirety of Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy. And one of the things that I really do like about, one of Maureen's talents in her writing is she makes it so simple to understand. And she doesn't use a lot of flowery language. It's very factual and to the point. She must write with her left hand. I'd love to know. Can anybody tell me, does Maureen Callahan write with her left hand or her right hand? So we went pretty in depth into Jackie Bouvier Kennedy and the assassination, Carolyn Bessette and JFK, and then we started to read about the girls, and that's Mimi Beardsley and Diana DeVay, and we left off where Jackie Kennedy would never abide by cheese puffs. So I am going to, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but I started this channel because a surgeon butchered my knee in a femur operation, and I'm in a lot of pain, and so I smoke marijuana, and it actually helps me focus. I'm not being obnoxious. This is actually my personality, okay? So at any rate, yeah, it's we left off where I was saying Jackie Kennedy would never abide by cheese puffs. And then again, the president said, and have another daiquiri. And that's where I said, we'll pick up. Now, there's some readings that are on L&L Soul Sisters that are saved to L&L Soul Sisters playlist. But every single reading on L&L Soul Sisters, I can now save to the playlist on High Voltage. If I get another strike again, I think somebody must have changed their mind. All right. I'm going to read, and I'll save my thoughts till the end, but I am going to put my personality into it. The second encounter would set the tone. Now remember, we left off where Mimi was in a room with girls, and we were talking about the word normalizing, and now I understand why I was talking about why language evolving, yada yada. It's all in the other videos. The second encounter would set the tone for their relationship. Mimi would be welcomed upstairs only when the First Lady was away, and it was her job to remind him of simple pleasures: small talk, shared bubble baths, and sex. Hasty though it always was, they never discussed the big stuff, the pressures of the presidency or the state of his marriage. He didn't seem to care whether she slept over or not, but when he offered, she always did. Wearing the same dress to work 2 days in a row never embarrassed her. It was Mimi's nonverbal way of letting all those other women in her department know she had special privileges. She was the president's favorite. The White House was her domain. You know, Kennedy was involved with the Teamsters, Frank Sinatra, the mob. In my opinion, based on my research, that's the opinion that I have formed. Mimi didn't understand why he being distant to throw off suspicion. Now remember what happened the night before, and if you don't, then you just go straight to the reading that I did in the park, even though Larry told me I look hideous. I don't care. I should have looked better that day, but there was a showing because this house is, they're trying to sell their home. So when they say leave, I have to leave. I want them to, you know, sell their home. I'll miss it and unbegrudgingly, I will miss this place. At any rate, let's move on. Okay, she wanted him, but she also felt relief. She hoped it would happen again, but wasn't sure that was true either. She didn't know she didn't know what she thought or how she felt. Was the confusing for every woman? Sex, was it confusing for every woman? She wished she had someone to talk to, but whom could she trust with a secret like this? Well, thank goodness that, you know, she's not Monica Lewinsky and Linda Trimp, what was her name? Linda Tripp. That was she was not a whistleblower. She is not a whistleblower. What she did to Monica Lewinsky, I can't even wrap my head around that type of act, the betrayal. And I did listen to the tapes in 2016 in the summer, in August of 2016. And Monica was 21 years old. And she was starstruck by a president in the 90s. And I really get tired, and I'll say it again, listening to younger people that didn't live through the time, and they think they know it all, and they don't. If you live through something and write a story, who in the hell are you to question somebody's own experience through their lenses? I'm not talking about accepting everybody's truth. I'm just talking about the truth, facts. It's a fact. Women were bred differently. There's different societies, and it's still that way. Nothing's changed. It's just different. They always say, about Scott Peterson, and I was thinking about this, and I am just using this as an example. I watched I'm getting back to the book. Just, this is the way that I am. And if you don't like the way that I am, then it's not the channel for you. So anyway, let's just get back here. All right. So who would believe her? I'll talk about Monica Lewinsky and the Bill Clinton situation in my humblest of humble opinions. Who would believe her? Later around 5:30, the phone rang. Once again, Dave came to get Mimi and took her upstairs. This time, it was just the two of them waiting for the president. A picture of cold daiquiri was set along with some more cheese puffs. What is it with these frickin' cheese puffs? And you know what? I love cheese puffs, and they're very addictive. Well, I guess when the cheese puffs came out, that was a signal that the First Lady wasn't home to bear the world of truth. At any rate, clearly the First Lady wasn't home. Jackie Kennedy would never abide by the cheese puffs. A few minutes later, the president entered. Ding-da-ding-da-ding-da-ding. Oh, okay. Well, my dear, you have the advantage here. You know that I'm Jack Kennedy, but I don't know who you are. So I already read all of that. The second encounter would set the tone for their relationship. Okay. So this is where we left off, was page 51. That was a review. It was 19. Oh, and I'll put up my questions about this chapter in another video or a short. And I'm going to put the playlist as trivia video questions. And you know what? Don't comment. Don't. Because it's very few people that do. And there needs to be more competition in the comments, because either I'm absolutely terrible at this and nobody cares, or I talk too much, or nobody takes me seriously. You take $25 Amazon, I take that seriously. I never mind. Read the book. You see what happens when you put a little something something into something something, especially into Alasha. Okay. Self-deprecation. That's just what I was doing, but you have to make a joke. Look, I kind of had a little fall today, so I'm icing my, do I never not have a frickin' bruise on my knee? Don't even ask me. It has to do with a bike. Anyway, okay. Kennedys. Here we go. And then we get to the bombshell. It was 1950. It was 1958. It was 1958, and 22-year-old Diana DeVay was a junior at Radcliffe. Until that moment, she had been bored to tears at a fundraising dinner in Boston. James, her date, was the only interested in politics. He had been volunteering for then Senator Jack Kennedy re-election campaign in Massachusetts. I can't say that word. Diana was merely his plus one. Give me your seat, Kennedy said to James, so a tired old man can sit to a pretty girl. I'm gonna have to quote the whole book. Boy, they went through women like the self-deprecation. Jack Kennedy was far from old. He was young, vital, charismatic. He understood He understood the value of youth. This is the table I need to be at, Kennedy said. You young people will set me straight. The rest of these guys just tell me what I want to hear. Oh, wait, that's the man's voice. You young people will tell me straight, because it's hard. The rest of the guys just tell me what I want to hear. The rest of those guys just tell me what I want to hear. He swiveled toward Diana. Who are you? Who are you? He asked. You know, what a creep. What is your name? Say something smart, she thought to herself. Not be an embarrassment. She told him, I've read your book. She hadn't, but flattery would probably be enough. And, you know, could you just see, I read your book, and, who are you, he asked. What's your name? Who are you? He asked. What's your name? Say something smart. So, okay, I've read your book, she told him, and the flattery does work, and it's wonderful. And Jack Kennedy liked what he heard, liked what he saw. He waved to summon an aide de camp and ordered him to make sure Diana was at the next event. I'm going to count on seeing you, Jack Kennedy said. Dave here will give you all the details. 1 week later, Dave Powers stood at the front door of Diana's office campus house, ready to ferry her to the Senator James. Dave said would not be making it tonight's appearance. Instead, he would be working for Senator Kennedy elsewhere. Besides, Diana was precious cargo. The senator doesn't want you driving around the back roads with some kid who might get lost or drink too much, Dave said. He'll feel safer having me drive. You, okay? As cultivated as Diana looked, she was of Jackie's world and wore her hair and makeup in a similar fashion. She was a nervous wreck. She couldn't figure out what Senator Kennedy was doing with her. Soon she'd be inviting her to rally after rally. Dave and the other staffers tending to Diana's every need. Jack taking off with her after each event and cracking that same joke. I'm looking pretty hard for just one vote here. Was he making a pass, what you think? Diana couldn't tell. She hoped he was, but at the same time she didn't. Girls like Diana, good girls with prominent, successful fathers and expensive educations, didn't have sex before marriage, certainly not with other women's husbands, even though Diana knew Jack Kennedy was speaking in cliches when he told her she had a Spock, and it was something special. That's what Nicole Kidman always does in her roles. When she's flustered, she'll go. She's just so, she is so bloody multi-talented. She's amazing. Anyways, Jack Kennedy made her feel as if she really were something. Diana was so young that she didn't even know herself yet. Tell me about it. I'm still trying to figure out who the heck I am, and I'm 53. And the world was telling young women that they weren't worth much before without a man. But Diana had this man, and this man saw things in her she could not even fathom. Diana would be more than what she was brought up to be, more than the option in her future. A girl with a good breeding and a good education who would use those gifts in service of one thing, making a respectable marriage and bearing beautiful children. Couldn't she? I don't know. You're asking me? Ask not. And so she continued rally after rally, cheering him on in the back seat. His height, women cupping her mouth with her hands and yelling by overwhelming majority, Jack Kennedy sails to victory. He was her romantic hero. But after months of this, Diana still had no idea what was going on. They had never discussed the wife. Did Jack and Jackie have an arrangement? Or was Jack's interest in the platonic? After all, he had yet to make a move. Was she little more than a convenience, a pretty girl who was always available, who gloved in his presence? Look, if you don't like the fact that it is 5 o'clock, actually it's 7 here. And I'm sorry that you don't live in Canada and this isn't legal. And I'm really sorry. I'm so, see, you know, with my scooter, God has given me so many lessons. I wore my gloves today and I thought I should have put on my boots because I got a little scrape, and it's because those silly pedals hit the floor. They hit the concrete when I go to turn. I like to zig around. I love it. My aunt, I think she caught me driving. She told me not to drive too fast. Well, I love her. I love my aunt. I really do. I have a wonderful aunt. Okay. Now, so who reflected what he wanted to see, who he wanted to be, or was that enough? Was that not, in a sense, power? One night, Jack asked Diana back to his apartment. He was hungry and tired. "We'll find something to eat," he said. His place was hardly the setting Diana anticipated, so dismal that it felt, on some level, like a joke. It was dim and cramped, with hardly any good furniture, just a crappy TV and a cheap plastic football from the 5 and dime. Only the bed was nice. Well, I'm sure he had a great bed. The single clue that JFK lived here was his small personal library, books on economics and history mixed with Lolita and Call the Lady indiscreet, electric taste to be sure. Jack stood in front of Diana now in his sad little kitchen. She took on his face different, serious. He put hand on top of hers. She froze. Even though this is what she had wanted from the beginning, why was this so confusing? She was sure she was in love with him, and now she was sure he was in love with her, that neither had ever said it didn't matter. Neither have said it didn't matter. As far as her reputation, who would know? The relationship was all about secrecy. Diana was safe. Jack gestured toward the bedroom. "Let's go." She went. There was no kisses, no professions of love. If he hadn't known she was a virgin before, he knew now. Mimi didn't know about Diana, but she quickly realized that Jill Cohen and Priscilla Ware, his frequent playmates in the White House pool, were also among his favorite young female staffers. Nor was Mimi, the only young woman to administer one of the daily scalp massages, rubbing ointments and conditioner onto his thick brown, I thought he was Irish anyways, thick brown hair. A lot of Irish people have red hair. Thick brown hair. Okay, Mimi never stepped foot into Mr. Kennedy's bedroom or bathroom again. She tried to put Mrs. Kennedy out of her mind entirely. She was hardly ever the White House anyway. Well, I'm going to leave it there because I know, well, for one thing, I have to go to Yalla's and get some dinner. Plus, we're almost finished and we're right so close to the bombshell. I've got to phone my mother and ask her where that Marilyn Monroe book is. So this was Ask Not, part 2, #3. The girls, I'll be back tonight. I'm going to go eat. I need to get my more ice, and don't worry, the merchandise is okay, T-Bone. Don't you worry about that. I'm so glad to be back, and that is a wrap. Okay, bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye.